If you're in a distressed relationship, you're probably tired of bad advice. When couples are distressed, there's no shortage of advice. From family, friends, self-help books, magazines, the internet. Much of it is not helpful, and some of it is harmful. One of the worst pieces of advice is you need to blow off steam. Get it out of your system. This advice is still popular despite numerous discrediting studies that have been around for like 30 years, but people still think you have to let off steam. It's based on the 19th century steam engine model of emotions. The steam engine was the technology of the time. And they thought that emotions built up pressure that must be let out to prevent an explosion. The reality is emotions are like muscles. Exercise makes them stronger. They work by habit. The more you try to get out the anger, the more frequently you'll get angry. Expressing emotions is like talking. You can get tired, but you won't deplete the emotion any more than you'll run out of words. You've probably heard this one. Feel your feelings. That's what they're for. Well, that's not what they're for. Feelings are not ends in themselves. They're signals to act. They send action signals to the muscle groups and organs of the body. They evolved to seize attention, so we'll act on the motivation. That's the primary function of emotions. It means to move, the word emotion. Move behaviors, how the ancient Greeks described it. We say motivate behavior. And the motivation signals are evolved to be moderated by the brain's regulatory function, the prefrontal cortex. So they're not feelings to feel just in and of themselves. They're sending action signals which must be judged as viable or not, because emotions don't have reality testing. I don't know what's real from what's not. It's the prefrontal cortex that has to decide that. You can think about the reality testing in that you have strong emotions in your dreams when nothing is happening. It's all in your head, and the emotion can't tell the difference. All emotions motivate, approach, avoid, attack. Approach, you want more of it. Avoid, you want less. And attack, you're perceiving a threat that you want to neutralize. Validate your feeling. Then decide from your adult brain whether you want to approach, avoid, or attack. Advice that begins with you should is usually bad advice. And that usually comes from family and friends. Any advice that tells you what you should do is usually projection embedded in their own experience, temperament, and biases. It's probably well-meaning, but it's necessarily embedded in their own history and experience. Good advice supports you to reach your own conclusions based on your own experience, temperament, and values. This is one of the worst forms of bad advice, symptom checklists for personality disorders. Lacking developmental context, these checklists that are all over the internet are little more than stereotypes, most frequently used to justify negative reactions. I don't like what my partner is doing, so I'm going to see if he or she has a personality disorder. Diagnoses based on checklists are never accurate and never made with compassion for perceived mental affliction. I mean, think about it. If you really thought your partner had a mental disorder, you would be sympathetic, not contemptuous. We don't need diagnoses to justify contempt for immoral behavior. Ask, are we compassionate and kind to each other? Not, does my partner have a personality disorder? You'll never get compassion, kindness, or cooperation in your relationship by applying negative labels to your partner. The only chance of getting compassion, kindness, cooperation from partners is to be cooperative, compassionate, and kind. And that's the best advice you can get.